right. Same process. Read that paragraph, that second one for me.
The second one?
The second one.
With the expansion of cities, newspapers and magazines reached larger audiences. Investigative reporters, writers, and social scientists exposed corporate and social injustices and government corruption. These writers became known as muckrakers because they raked up the muck or dirt of American life. The muckrakers examined the rise of industry and the abuses that had often led to the accumulations of larger fortunes. For example, Upton Sinclair's graphic description of the meatpacking industry in his 1906 novel, The Jungle, so deeply disgusted President Roosevelt and Congress that they passed the Meat Inspection Act and Pure Food and Drug Act, hoping to clean up the industry and protect American consumers. Many historians consider the muckrakers as the first progressives.
All right. Give me a summary of that paragraph, best you can.
With the expansion of cities, with the expansion of letter media, muckrakers and the first progressives were able to expose the dirt of American life, or the injustices that larger corporations had, say in the meatpacking industry. So because of this, it was able to be reached to the president, and they were able to make a change, and they were able to impact the industry.
You got the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
Read the first sentence.
Marquez, right?
Yep.
With the expansion of cities, newspapers and magazines reached larger audiences. With the expansion of cities, newspapers and magazines reached larger audiences.
All right. Now, tell me what that's saying. What you think that's saying?
As more cities become frequent, newspapers and magazines started to reach a larger audience.
Why? Why all of a sudden?
It's a higher concentration of people in a singular area, and then you have a larger audience to distribute your magazines.
Good.
Towards.
Yes, read the next one.
Investigative reporters, writers, and social scientists exposed corporate and social injustices and government corruption.
Again.
Investigative reporters, writers, and social scientists exposed corporate and social injustices and government corruption.
All right. Explain that one to me.
With a higher audience, or with a condensed audience and a larger audience, they were able to expose corporate and social injustices and corruptions to a larger audience. So,
well, these guys weren't just reporting the news. Were they just reporting the news? What were they doing?
They were
read what it says at the beginning.
Investigative reporters, writers.
All right. Who are these people?
They're common folk.
All right. Investigative reporters. What is it? What do you think they're trying to say?
Investigative reporters?
Yeah.
Reporters who specifically try to figure things out rather than...
Yeah. So they're not like a regular reporter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what are they trying to find?
They're trying to find examples of corporate and social injustices and government corruption.
All right. Like, any examples?
Examples would be with the meatpacking industry, where they had incredibly unsanitary conditions.
All right, good. You took that directly from the paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Now, read the next sentence.
These writers became known as muckrakers because they raked up the muck or dirt of American life. These writers became known as muckrakers because they raked up the muck or dirt of American life.
I asked her the question earlier, but it wasn't explained.
Pardon?
You remember? You remember I asked her, what about muckrakers?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't explained. It's explained now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So who are these guys?
They're the people who rake up the muck or dirt of American life, and some consider them to be the first progressives as well.
What? Give me a little deeper understanding of that, if you can. I think you can. Give me something deeper.
These muckrakers are investigative reporters and social scientists, and they They dedicate their time to specifically look out for these different examples and ideas, or not ideas, but crimes, I suppose, that larger businesses and government corruption.
Okay. So the muck might be all the junk?
It's the dirt.
Okay, all right. Read the next sentence.
The muckrakers examined the rise of industry and the abuses that had often led to the accumulation of larger fortunes.
Again.
The muckrakers examined the rise of industry and the abuses that had often led to the accumulation of larger fortunes.
All right, so what's happening there? What are they saying? What do you think they're saying?
The muckrakers were specifically looking at the rise of the industries, or rise of industries.
What do you think they're saying about that?
They're studying it, or they're.
What's happened in America? Tell me what do you think's happened in America?
It's the. It was in the middle of the Industrial Revolution, so you're having a rise of larger cities with higher population density, and you also have larger businesses with factories being erected around the area.
And factories need what?
Workers.
Okay. Let's see what else is said. Oh, and the abuses. Read that section right there.
The abuses that had often led to the accumulation of larger fortunes.
Now that's an interesting thing. Can you give me an idea what that's saying?
It's saying that larger corporations would generally abuse the rights and well-being of an employee in order to make a larger profit.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. You got it. You hit that thing quite well. All right, take the next one.
For example, Upton Sinclair's graphic description of the meatpacking industry in his 1906 novel, The Jungle, so deeply disgusted President Roosevelt and Congress that they passed the Meat Inspection Act and Pure Food and Drug Act, hoping to clean up the industry and protect American consumers. For example, Upton Sinclair's graphic description of the meatpacking industry in his 1906 novel, The Jungle, so deeply disgusted President Roosevelt and Congress that they passed the Meat Inspection Act and Pure Food and Drug Act, hoping to clean up the industry and protect American consumers.
All right. Tell me what's going on there.
It showcases an example of muckraking and an investigative writer, or at least a progressive writer, who was Upton Sinclair, and the specific example is his 1906 novel, The Jungle, which exposed the unsanitary conditions of the meatpacking industry, and because of this, it disgusted the president and Congress that they actually passed 2 different acts to help clean up that industry.
Okay. What are the 2 acts?
The Meat Inspection Act and Pure Food and Drug Act.
All right. Give me the next one, the last one.
Many historians consider the muckrakers as the first progressives. Many historians consider the muckrakers as the first progressives.
All right. Now give me a summary of that paragraph. Give me as much as you can.
With the expansions of cities, newspapers and magazines had a larger audience, and since they have this larger audience, progressive writers, social scientists, and investigative reporters were able to get the words out of government corruption and corporate and abuses that the corporations had done to the employee or your everyday employee.
Okay. What else?
And so an example would be of Upton Sinclair's 1906 novel, The Jungle. And this novel was so impactful that it managed to get President Roosevelt and Congress to pass the Meat Inspection Act and the Pure Food and Drug Act.
All right. Second time was better. A lot of info.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing works. You read fast, look at all you miss. That is a huge, that paragraph, it's got a lot of depth in it. Between those 2 paragraphs, there's a lot of information in there. You can almost figure out the entire progressive era just reading those 2 paragraphs. And I would have never understood muckraker. What's a muckraker?
Muckraker are the first progressives who exposed government corruptions or corporate misdeeds.
Okay. So, better second time? Yeah. Slow down.
Mhm.
Read for depth and of understanding. You'll always be better. You'll always do better. So, when you're taking the SAT.
I believe I just have a few more tests, and then I think I'll be done.
All right. Anytime you take another test, use this process. Anytime you read anything, use this process. You'll get a lot more out of it.
Mhm.
Okay? All right.